Good morning and welcome to Community Matters. I'm Paul Wilson. This morning we are joined by Chris Masingill, who's the federal co-chairman of the Delta Regional Authority. Good morning and thank you. Welcome to town, first of all.
Thank you very much.
I guess you're not based here. You're based somewhere else. Where is your hometown and where's your office located first?
Well, I actually live in Arkansas, but I spend about 80% of my time on the road, traveling the 8 states, 252 counties and parishes that make up the Delta Regional Authority footprint, everywhere from the southern tip of Illinois all the way down to New Orleans and the Black Belt of Alabama.
Now, for people who might not be familiar, let's take it back a step and explain what the Delta Regional Authority is. I know it's a combination of a federal-state partnership, but that's really what the extent of my knowledge is. So start me at a first grade level. Explain what it is.
Well, that's one, thank you for giving me an opportunity to do that, because the Delta Regional Authority is a state-federal partnership that was created by Congress in 2000 to really put a focus on helping to create jobs, improve lives, and build communities. That's what I get up every morning thinking about, because we are an economic development agency that helps the governors of the 8 states, that work with local community leaders to really help create jobs, to help expand economic opportunities, to deal with the issues that we are challenged with in the Delta region, and to move our communities forward. That's what we work in every day. We try to do stuff as it relates to workforce training and education, entrepreneurship and business development, basic public infrastructure, and transportation-related economic development projects.
The area that's covered by the Delta Regional Authority, that's a lot of real estate. Is there a lot of commonality between the areas and all the counties that you cover?
Well, look, everybody is concerned about jobs. Everybody wants to move their communities forward. Everybody wants a better quality of life for their people, for their kids, for the future of the Delta region. We have a region. We have a region that is primed for tremendous opportunities, either getting additional job growth, increasing educational attainment, increasing access to affordable, accessible health care, building the network of broadband and transportation and infrastructure that we need to be competitive around the world. Look, we have the best workforce in the world. Yes, do we have issues? You bet we do. Do we need to continue to work on educational attainment? You bet. But the number one issue facing economic development is workforce training and education, and we have the right ingredients to be very successful with that.
Since the year 2000, when DRA came into existence, tell me about some of the successes you've achieved.
We have been investing in projects since about 2002, and we've been able to take our piece of the pie and leverage it to almost $2.3 billion. That's with a B, combined with our resources, other private sector investments into the region, and other public sector investments together, with almost 800 projects that we've invested in since 2002.
What would you say the biggest investment is? Probably the most visible one is the Workforce Training Center, wouldn't you say? That's the one that probably the most people are familiar with and have their hands on.
Well, you know what? People will probably be surprised at the projects that we touch. They may be driving on a road that we've helped complete. They may be actually participating in a workforce training program that we're actually funded. They may actually be getting clean water and access to the kind of infrastructure that they probably don't think about oftentimes. When you go and turn on that water faucet and you have clean water, well, there's a lot of things that go in behind that. When you can flush your toilet and it works and it doesn't spill over into your neighborhood, that's pretty important, and that's done because of a lot of DRA investment.
How closely do you work with the local governments, with the county supervisors, with the city's boards of mayors and aldermen? How deep down do you drill when you're doing these projects?
Very close. In fact, we consider them partners and stakeholders with what we do. Our job is to help be a partner with them. Our job is to help take our resources to be the front end of a project, to help bridge funding that they may be getting from other resources, either the state or from private sector, or to help close projects. And we rely on our relationship and partnership with local community and economic developers, local elected officials. They are the ones who come to us and say, look, we've got this problem, we need your help, and we try to do as much as we can to help solve that problem.
You said you spend about 80%, 75 to 80% of your time on the road. Where does it break down that you're everywhere, or is there one particular part of the the landscape that you're in more than others?
Well, if you ask my wife and two daughters, they'll tell you that, yes, I'm everywhere except at home. Our headquarters is right here in Clarksdale, Mississippi. This is the main office for the Delta Regional Authority. We're up in the same building where the post office is on the 4th floor. We'd love for people to come by and say hello. We have an office in Washington, D.C. to work with our congressional delegation and the federal agencies. And then I spend my time on the road, either in between Washington, D.C. or here in Clarksdale or somewhere traveling in the region. I spend about 3-4 days a week doing that, looking at projects, helping to solve problems at the local level, helping to be an advocate for the region. And I do a lot of that up in D.C., working with our congressional delegations to be a partner with them. And we're so very thankful to have the kind of support with Congressman Thompson and Senator Cochran and Senator Whitaker that we have and that we've had in the past. And I think there's going to be some great things even happen in the future.
Chris, we didn't really get into this before, but give me a little bit of your personal background. You mentioned you're on the road, away from your wife and family quite a bit. Where are you from? Where did you go to school? What's your background before Delta Regional Authority?
Well, I was actually working for the state of Arkansas, working for our governor, Mike Beebe, doing economic and community development and policy development for the state of Arkansas. I had a long history with the Delta Regional Authority. I served on their board of governors representing the state of Arkansas. I was actually a congressional staff member when we created the Delta Regional Authority, then with Senator Blanche Lincoln. And then I had the opportunity to work closely with DRA when I moved back to Arkansas and was working with one of our members of Congress. So I got an opportunity to see all sides of the Delta Regional Authority, from the inside, the outside, working with our local communities, working with our local community developers, trying to get DRA resources. So it gave me a good perspective. And then when President Obama got elected, I indicated that, you know what, I think I'd like to see the other aspect of DRA. I want to do that. I was real close with DRA then, serving as a board member, and I thought to myself, this is a way that I can continue to give back and help to even do more, take DRA to the next level. And I'm so thankful and honored to work for this president, to be an appointee of President Obama, and to have him give me an opportunity to serve in this role, and I'm very appreciative of that.
Chris, we're joined now by Abe Hudson, who's the director of the DETS program from Delta State University, who kind of bring you up to speed. Well, we've been sitting here talking with Chris for a minute. Welcome, and you're not too far from home. Cleveland's where you're from, right?
I'm actually very happy to be here, and Cleveland would be a good place to start, but I'm a Mississippi Delta boy. I suppose I grew up kindergarten through 4th grade here in Clarksdale and lived in Lamont, Mississippi with my family for a while, and then spent the rest of my years in Greenville, Mississippi. So as I said, I'm a Mississippi Delta boy.
So this is home turf for you.
Oh, absolutely, all over the Delta, and I'm so pleased to have gotten an opportunity over the past couple of years to work with the DETS program at Delta State University. We've done a lot of exciting things as it relates to helping entrepreneurs. And in brief, what we do is help entrepreneurs in a 4-county area, Bolivar County, Washington, Coahoma, and Sunflower, to become more financially literate. And being a business owner myself in the past and currently, I understand the challenges and hardships that exist. And so budgeting, managing cash flow, all of those things as it relates to being an entrepreneur, what we're trying to do is work with folks in the Mississippi Delta to make sure that they understand exactly where they are and where they're going from a financial perspective.
Tell me about your business. You have a tour company?
We do. As a matter of fact, today we gave a tour for a group of 2 buses from Natchez, Mississippi. It was a group of high schoolers, and what we did was educate them about Coahoma County and Friars Point and Clarksdale and anything that you can think about as it relates to this area. And we always have a good time doing it, but when it comes to kids and sharing with them about the area in which they're from, particularly the Mississippi Delta, we get even more excited because we want kids to have a pride and an excitement about where they're from. And we know that it starts at an early age, and in high school, if we get them early starting to think about their area in a positive way, it'll be a lifelong journey of feeling good about where they're from.
You know, Paul, one of the cool things about Abe, too, is that he's actually a graduate of the Delta Leadership Institute and through our Executive Academy. So we're very proud of Abe and his participation of that, and he's actually putting into practice a lot of the stuff that we did through the Executive Academy. So congratulations, Abe.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. I appreciate the congratulations. Many times when I would come to those classes for Delta Regional Authority and that Leadership Institute, I would listen to and hear about things that really propelled and pushed us, my wife and I, to do what we're doing now. In that space, we do a couple of different things. We do tours of the Mississippi Delta. We feature an artist once a month, whether it be a photographer, videographer, or a painter. And last but not least, my wife does custom handmade invitations. And we call them real Delta-made invitations. And so in the Mississippi Delta, we have a lot of dilapidated buildings that nothing's going on. And so what we figured we would do, and I think you all will appreciate this from an economic perspective, we figured that putting multiple businesses in a space to help make sure that it cash flowed would be the wisest thing to do. And so for me, with the program that I run at Delta State, it's always fun to have a real-world example and be able to talk to my clients about what it is that I'm doing, and I'm able to break it down in a really practical way. So we're having a lot of fun. The Delta's a great place to be, and I just want to say thanks to what you're doing. A couple weeks ago, a couple days back, I got a chance to participate in a event where the chairman and also the undersecretary and our state director for USDA all came down, and we were talking about entrepreneurship and things that are going on in the Delta as it relates to funding and putting money in the right places to push our area forward. And so I commend you, and I look forward to us continuing to move forward and seeing what we can do, and so that in the next 10, 15 years, this Delta look like and feel like a totally different place economically.
It's awesome.
What is the acronym DETS program? What does that stand for? And tell me a little bit about the program.
DET, Education for Business, Transformation, and Sustainability. I know, it's a mouthful.
Wow, that's impressive.
I know, and if you were in the studio, you would see that I had to close my eyes to say it. So, yeah, we use the acronym a lot, but those words truly describe what we try to do and what we attempt to do. We want to focus on helping entrepreneurs become more sustainable. I'll focus on that last word. A lot of times, you see entrepreneurs open up and they're in business for 3-6 months, but we want businesses to open and stay open, to really be able to contribute to their communities. I would go on record saying this. I think small businesses are the lifeblood of communities.
That's right.
Especially here in the Mississippi Delta. You have big industry. They come in sometimes and they'll last for 5 or 10 years, but it's those businesses where you got families working in them. You have folks who are contributing to schools and contributing to churches. Those are the folks who I really believe are the lifeblood of a community. So small business is big business for me.
In your opinion, what are the factors that would cause a small business, not just here in the Delta, but really anywhere, to particularly succeed or fail? What are the drivers behind the success or failure of a small business?
It's interesting that you would bring that up. I truly believe that customer service and hospitality are two things that will keep folks coming back. I think that's a place to start and a place to end. For example, today on our tour that we gave, one of the things I wanted to do was make sure that folks knew how hospitable we were and how courteous we were, and at every corner we tried to exhibit that. And so not just for Mississippi Deltans, but for people who are coming here from other states and other parts of the world, because Clarksdale has folks from all over the world coming to visit. The one thing that they say that they enjoy is the hospitality. And so when folks come inside of our space, it's only open 2 days a week for a small amount of time, but if you peek in there, we're open, and in there we're in there quite a bit. Anytime that folks grace our doors, what we try to do is show them love and really give that hospitable touch. And if they don't want to do business with us or purchase anything with us or can't do anything, if they're just stopping in to ask a question, what we try to do is point them in the right direction. Hey, maybe somebody else in town has something that would be a better offering. Maybe they're looking for somewhere to eat. Guess what? We tell them about all the good restaurants that are putting weight on my stomach. So, I think being hospitable and courteous is a niche that we have here in the Mississippi Delta and in the Delta alike. We've gone through some hard times, some challenging times in the Delta, but the one thing that remains is that we got some good folks here. And as we show that off through our culture and our heritage, just by giving the folks when they come here, I think it's going to be something that draws people back.
Customer service in America in general seems to be kind of a lost art. You just don't get it. You're put through 84 voicemail steps to get to somebody when you try to call a company. You deal with email. You don't have that personal interaction. But the Southern hospitality seems very unique to the Delta. If we have that in abundance here, why do businesses still fail?
It's a very good question. I think it's hard to continue to be courteous and hospitable when you're not making much money. Your attitude changes. The morale of your employees goes down if they are not receiving a check for 2 weeks or 4 weeks. So I think a lot of it is it's a tough environment. I can't say that that's the only thing, but you asked me what one of the first things would be, and that certainly would be one of the first things. What do I see as some potential things that entrepreneurs could do to be more successful? I think particularly in some of these smaller communities, we have to have an outside of the box way of thinking. And what do I mean by that? Labor is one of the most one of the largest line items for most businesses. Well, maybe in order to bring life to some of these communities, the businesses may not be able to be open Monday through Friday because you can't pay labor. Maybe choosing a Thursday and a Friday and a Saturday to be open. That way, you have a storefront. You let people know you're open by appointment. Some of these restaurants here are doing it right now. Oxbow's only open from 11 to 2, and they serve great food. I love their fish tacos. You have a situation where you have Foxtrot, which is an art gallery. They're open to folks who want to come in and view their artwork. I think those kinds of businesses, they add to the outside facade and beauty of a community, although they're not open from a 7 to 5 or a 7 to 7 on a daily basis. They still ensure that a community is moving in the right direction. And so I'm hopeful that there are a lot of other Delta communities that are taking a look at what Clarksdale is doing. I'm excited about the momentum that's being created here.
You know, Paul, your question actually speaks to the heart of what we try to focus in on every day. When you talk about why are businesses still not being successful, the reality of it is that there are many barriers to entry for small businesses. We recognize that we do have to think outside of the box. We've got to put unique resources and technical assistance on the table. That's why at the Delta Regional Authority we're focusing so much attention on small business development and entrepreneurship, because the reality is this. We're not advocating that we change our economic development strategy and we stop doing traditional industrial recruitment. That is important. We need to continue to do that. But we're talking about expanding the pie. The reality of it is, since 1992, all new net jobs have been created by small businesses with 9 or less employees. So as a local community, you have to come together as a part of your economic development strategy and say, hey, how can I take my existing small businesses and get them to a point to add one more employee? Or how can I get them to a point to start doing export, engaging in international trade? Or, hey, here's another idea. How do we talk about making sure people have an understanding of how to start businesses? They may have a great idea. They may be working in the same place for 10, 15, or 20 years, and they got an idea about how to do something a little bit better. They're not doctors. They're not CPAs or accountants. We need to empower them. We need to grow our own. You talk about successful strategies to bring the Delta back or to continue to grow our communities in the local area. It's about empowering our people to create opportunities for themselves. We can't expect somebody to come in from around the world to save us. That's not going to happen. We've got to save ourselves, and we start that by creating more small businesses and supporting entrepreneurs and giving them the support network like Abe. So he's got access to capital to grow. So he's got the technical assistance to make sure that he's making good business decisions as a business owner. Having that ecosystem is one of the most important ingredients to address your question.
You've covered an awful lot of ground, and I want to drill it deeper into a couple of those questions.
This is an important issue.
First one, How does this differ from the Small Business Administration, which I always thought was there to help small businesses, teach them about how to fund their business, how to run it in a proper manner, by the book? How does the Delta Regional Authority differ from that other federal agency?
It's not that we differ, it's that we augment, that we team up, that we are a strategic partner. What SBA is doing is very important. They are an access for capital. They are access for technical assistance, particularly existing small businesses. They are a wonderful resource to reach out to. In fact, we need to find more ways to get people into those programs that they're offering. The thing that we're also doing at the Delta Regional Authority is making sure people know that these resources exist. At the same time, we're putting a special concentration on the entrepreneurship ecosystem. Like when we announced the Delta Entrepreneurship Network, we're providing an opportunity for entrepreneurs and support organizations, those people who believe and love and support entrepreneurs. We're giving them an opportunity to learn more, to identify, to connect, to nurture, to grow entrepreneurs and the support organizations that help create those opportunities by giving them a chance to go to New Orleans Entrepreneur Week, where they get an opportunity to see this kind of success, to have access to give their opportunity for their business idea, give them a chance to showcase to national investors where they're seeing it being done, where they can actually touch it and they can feel it and they can interact with their peers about successful projects that we know that's happening.
That was going to be one of my next questions about the Delta Entrepreneurship Network, and you've kind of touched on that. Is this something new, or is this something that has been going on in previous years, and will it continue into the future?
It is new. It's a part of our overall small business and entrepreneurship initiative. We kicked this off about 3 years ago. It's something that we at the Delta Regional Authority took a step back and said, look, we want to do more in this. We recognize that we do a lot of traditional projects, infrastructure, transportation. That is important. We're going to continue to do that. But an area that we felt like we needed to do more is that we want to make sure the ABEs are successful. We want to find more of the ABEs and give him an opportunity to be successful and to plant that idea. So we launched the Delta Entrepreneurship Network as a way to do that, to help identify, connect, nurture, grow, and support not only the entrepreneurs, but those who love the entrepreneurs by creating a stronger ecosystem around the region, not just here in Coahoma County and Clarksdale, Mississippi, but in all 8 states, where we now have a real network. So we can reach out to make sure, hey, what's going on over in Alabama that's working that we can pull here? Hey, how do you do the best pitch competition? How do you access those equity funds? How do you access more lines of capital to create a business or to actually create an opportunity for your startup? That's what we're trying to do. And the first step of that is that we're going to take 16 entrepreneurs and 16 support organizations to participate in the New Orleans Entrepreneur Week.
When is that?
That's going to be March stand by here, and I'm going to tell you.
24th to 27th.
There you go. Thank you, Paul.
I saw the notes.
There you go. Yeah, thank you.
A couple of years ago, I sent 2 people from my staff to the New Orleans Entrepreneurship Week, and they found it to be quite helpful. They brought back valuable information that assisted some of our clients that we work with in the Delta, and so I know that strategic partnership is going to be an important one. I want to piggyback off something the chairman said, and that is they are very good or strong at partnerships and collaborations. And sometimes I think some of the work that they do goes very unnoticed. With the leadership group that we're a part of, one of the things that I got out of it was now I have a network of people to communicate with, to bounce ideas off of, discover things that are going on in other communities so that I can implement them or try them in communities that I'm involved in or participating in. And so I think a lot of times we miss out on talking to other people who can be of value to us. Destiny runs in flocks. I was listening to a message this morning. It's interesting. People of destiny and faith usually run together. And so just if I'm doing something in one community, oftentimes it can be mirrored in another community. And Delta communities, even though they are in different states sometimes, have some of the same issues. So I'm excited about continuing to build those strategic partnerships that he's talked about on a lower level. But I think the DRA certainly does that at a higher level and sets a really good example.
Well, no one has the market on great ideas, right? So we want to figure out what's happening and what's working in other places and bring it here. I mean, I say this all the time to my team at the DRA. When it comes to these type of issues, I want to show up and show out, Paul. I want DRA to people to recognize that they can go to DRA for ideas, for investments, for opportunities. And this is one of these areas that I think that we're going to make a tremendous impact on. New Orleans Entrepreneurship Week. What's happening in New Orleans around entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship development is really amazing. It's recognized around the world for one of the top environments for entrepreneurship. We want to capture some of that. We want to capture that and bring that to the region. We want people to recognize this stuff can be done. And guess what? It can be done in rural America. It can be done right here in Coahoma County. What works in other places may also work here. And we want to connect those individuals. We want to connect those resources. And the Delta Entrepreneurship Network is one of the ways that we're going to try to do that.
Entrepreneurship Week in New Orleans is open. I guess it's a coming together of both the entrepreneurs themselves and the groups that support entrepreneurs. Is that correct?
That's right. They've been doing this now for about 12 years, and they've been very successful. And this is actually a very unique opportunity because up to this point, it has only been for those individuals, those startups, those entrepreneurs around the New Orleans metropolitan area. But for the first time, they've opened it up. They've opened it up through a partnership with the Delta Regional Authority. So we can take our entrepreneurs, we can take our support organizations down to New Orleans to see how this thing works, to get that experience, to get an opportunity to showcase their startup ideas in front of national investors. This is a tremendous opportunity. In fact, since they've been doing the New Orleans Entrepreneurship Week, Idea Village has allocated over $2.5 million to startups since their inception. We want to get a piece of that and bring that back to the Delta region. That's what this is all about.
Now, if people have a small business or want to start a small business or have some support group, can they get involved in this Entrepreneur Week at the end of March, or is there a deadline?
There is a deadline just as it relates to the Delta Entrepreneurship Network. There's two ways that you can compete. You can either go online, dra.gov/entrepreneur, and fill out the application and compete in one of our Delta challenges. And what that is that's basically a pitch competition. You're going to get about 3 minutes to pitch your startup idea to a panel of experts, people who are doing this, who have been involved in this, who have experience in this, and to compete. And we're going to pick 16 of those people from around the region. We're doing 5 of these Delta challenges. In fact, we're doing one right here in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi, with the Mississippi E-Center at Jackson State University on February the 27th at 6 p.m. And we're very excited about that. In fact, we've got a great partnership with Governor Bryant. He is DRA State's co-chair right now, and his team has been working with us along with Innovate Mississippi, who have been great partners on this. And so come and compete through a Delta Challenge. If you are a support organization and want an opportunity to go to learn from other organizations that are doing this, you can apply in that pathway as well. Simply go to dra.gov/entrepreneur, and there's going to be an application for the support organizations as well. But there's actually a deadline for that. So you've got to have, the support organizations got to have their application turned in, Katie, by when? February 15th.
At midnight.
February the 15th, and then a panel of judges will go through a process. There'll be an interview process to be chosen as one of the 16 fellows.
Abe, is this something that you've been through? Have you been through this process at all, or is this all new to you?
This is the first year, I think, that DRA is doing this entrepreneurship network. Is that correct, Chairman?
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
We have not gone through it, but I'm very familiar with the work that New Orleans Entrepreneurship Week has been doing for the last several years. It truly does open the eyes up to business owners and also individuals who support them, like the work that I do at Delta State University. So I know it's good work that's being done. I'm excited about the fact that Mississippi Deltans and also Deltans alike will get a chance to participate in a more intimate way. I think a lot of times people feel like what's going on with Idea Village and what's going on in New Orleans is just for those folks in Louisiana. But that Entrepreneurship Week, and they name it that way because everybody loves to go to New Orleans. I would assume that's one of the reasons why they named it. But it's more of a regional conference than it is just for New Orleans or folks from that area. So I'm excited that we're getting people who are from all parts of the Delta to participate. I think it's going to be very valuable.
You know, Paul, when you talk about issues like this, too, it's important to remember there's not a one-size-fits-all, right? There's no magic bullet. There's no magic wand that we're going to wave and then, boom, we're going to have all of this prosperity. This is hard work. This is a long-term investment. We're creating that ecosystem now. We're making the investments now that we're turning into real opportunities for our communities in the future. And we've got to do it together. We've got to do it with the local communities. We've got to do it with the local financial institutions. We got to think about it from different levels, like, for example, micro enterprises, micro entrepreneurs. There is a very important opportunity for people to engage in these type of activities, and it's going to take everybody. That's why every community can have a strategy to help expand existing small businesses and to create an opportunity for those who want to start their small businesses. You can do that in rural America. You can do that in small communities, and that is an important first step in rebuilding your community and growing your local economy.
This is Community Matters on WROX Radio. We're speaking with Chris Masingill, who's the federal co-chairman of the Delta Regional Authority, and Abe Hudson, who is the director of the DEBTS program, that's DEBTS, at Delta State University, and also a small business owner himself. Either of you can answer this one, and you mentioned this in your last comments, Chris. What does Delta Regional Authority and what do these various programs offer to existing business owners? We've talked about entrepreneurs and starting your own business, but what if you've already had a small business up and running for 2, 3, 5 years and you've struggled a little bit? What can DRA do for those business people?
That's a great question, and something as a part of our small business and entrepreneurship initiative that we're actually putting a focus on. Not only do we have a focus on entrepreneurship, but we've also got a focus on existing small businesses. And the biggest key there is getting those folks tied up to existing resources. People will be amazed, and Abe, you can probably speak to this too. There are a lot of resources already on the table through SBA, through your local small business and development centers. People just assume, but they don't know how to access it. They don't know what kind of programs maybe exist. And there are a lot of technical assistance out there right now, and we want to do a better job of connecting our existing small business owners, regardless of your size, to these types of resources, particularly if you're thinking about expanding, getting into international trade and exports. There is a tremendous economic opportunity for small business owners to really tap into this. There's more resources coming out of D.C. for businesses who want to get into the export and international trade, but there's a fear. There's a fear, oh, this is too complicated, this is kind of scary, where there are people that can help walk you through that process. There are programs that can make sure you are successful. The third piece of that is that we want to make sure that existing small businesses have access to the right type of coaching and mentoring and guidance. They're not CPAs. They're not necessarily attorneys. They have subject matter expertise, which is why they started their business. Abe's case, man, he runs a great business. But you know what? He needs to make sure he's making the right kind of business decisions when it comes to hiring, when it comes to HR, when it comes to financial management. Those are the types of decisions that could really hinder an existing small business owner, not because they're not good business people, but because they're not CPAs necessarily, and everybody has to have a little bit of guidance and a little bit of support to make sure they're making the right kind of decisions as a small business owner.
Do you find that it's the business owners, and either of you can answer this, small business owners just don't have the support network, they don't have mentors, they don't have the network or the connections to help them understand what best practices are?
Just to piggyback off something the chairman said a moment ago, business owners are really good at their craft. They know how to repair shoes, or they know how to make a good burger, or they know how to cut someone's hair. Whatever their craft, they're excellent or amazing at that. However, when it comes to the technical sides of maybe finance or marketing or even social media, folks need assistance.
That's a great point.
I'll be quite candid with you. I'm good at a lot of things, but I'm only great at a few. And so it's good for a business owner to recognize that. And so with our program at Delta State, one of the things that we do is offer different kinds of technical assistance. The primary type of technical assistance that we offer is from the financial arena. We assist people. We have created 8 best practices modules to walk folks through exactly what they need to do from a financial perspective to stay on top of things. That's what we primarily do. But we realized that, guess what? There are some other issues that business owners are having. So we've also hired folks who have done some graphic design work because there are people who put out paraphernalia or pieces of literature. It needs to look excellent. It needs to come across in a certain way so that it will be appetizing enough for someone to want to do business with them. In addition to that, we have someone who works with those clients who need assistance with tax preparation. Because guess what? Finance and accounting are 2 totally different things. Sometimes people lump those things together, but we've had people that we've worked with, and you all might not believe this, but it's true. People who've had businesses who haven't filed taxes in 4 years. That's devastating. As a business owner, the psychology of that, going into work every day, knowing that you have that burden, that's tough. And a lot of times what people need is somebody to just hold their hands as you make a phone call to say, look, I'm in this situation. What do I do, or what steps can I take so that I won't have to close my business? I'm fearful. I'm scared. Now what's my next step? In addition to that, one of the most powerful tools that I think that we have now in this present day is social media. And a lot of people don't realize you can market your business through social media in a way that you've never been able to do previously. And so Mississippi Delta businesses truly have an opportunity to bridge the gap from a marketing perspective. And so what we try to do is offer technical assistance from different vantage points. Our program has received $250,000 from USDA. We're tasked to work with 12 entrepreneurs per year. And so what we do is go out and we hire consultants and people to work with those individuals to take their businesses to the next level. And so just yesterday, I met with my 3 general consultants on yesterday, and they helped to manage the processes or different aspects of or different pieces of the consulting that we're doing for our different clients. And so it's amazing to see their excitement for what they're doing in their different areas. And I think that we're really on to something. USDA has funded our project for a 2nd year, and we're excited about being funded for a 3rd year because what we're trying to truly do is to create a best practices program that can be duplicated possibly in another 4 counties around the Mississippi Delta or some other part of the Delta in other states.
Hey, that really is fantastic, and congratulations on that 2nd round of funding. And I tell you what, I want to be a part of future pieces of that because I know you have got the right kind of perspective. And when you have a business that's a 1 or 2 person operation, and you're talking about the kind of technical assistance that Abe's providing through his DETS program, that's exactly what we need to do more of, because you're saving small business owners money. Mm-hmm. You're giving them an opportunity to make the right kind of decisions for the future of their businesses. Mm-hmm. Businesses don't have these folks in-house. They don't have 100 employees or 25 employees. I mentioned just a minute ago, most of our small businesses in the Delta region are small businesses with 9 or fewer employees. Mm-hmm. So they don't have an accounting department or a marketing department. So when you can access resources like Abe's program, the DETS program with Delta State, or you go to your local small business and development center and they can give you these types of technical assistance at a very low charge or no charge, this is what we need to do more of. And we want to encourage, if you are a small business owner that's listening to this program, please reach out and take advantage of these programs. Call DRA. Go to DRA.gov. Call me, 501-772-9686. I'll put you in touch with somebody called Katie Milligan on my team. We will get you connected to the right kind of resources and programming because it's too important. And if we're all doing this together, if we have strategies in every community to make sure that our existing small businesses are getting connected with available resources, and then we're building an ecosystem for the future of the Abes that's coming in behind us. Can you imagine what the Delta region will look like? That's awesome stuff. That's why we're here. That's why we were created. Amen. Let's do some more of it.
Chris, I applaud you for giving out your website and your phone number unprompted. Abe, I'm going to ask you the same question. If someone wants to learn from you and take advantage of some of the resources of the DETS program,
sure, how
do they reach you at Delta State?
Very simple. You can either email me at ahudson@deltastate.edu, and I'll repeat that again for those people who are getting their pens, ahudson@deltastate.edu, or you can call my cell. It's 662-588-0091. One of the things that I get excited about is we spend about 20-25% of our time in the office. We spend most of our time out in the field, seeing entrepreneurs, talking to them, going into their businesses. Yesterday, one of my consultants and I made a delivery for one of our clients who produces pastries, and it was fun because it gave her a chance to stay focused on what she was doing so that she could produce and we could deliver. And so you can catch us via cell phone anytime at 662-588-0091.
We've kind of touched on this before, but as we're closing down here the last 10 minutes or so of the program, I want to ask the question, with the advent of the internet, we really now have the opportunity to be an international company from wherever we happen to be based, be it Clarksdale, Cleveland, Greenville, Grenada, wherever. Is that something that a lot of small business owners don't even have a website, let alone a Facebook page? Is this a huge opportunity that small business owners are missing?
I'd like to.
I totally agree.
I'd love to speak to that. As a matter of fact, in a couple of days, we have a web designer that's going to come on, and 6 of our 12 clients will actually have a website created for them. It's going to be a 4 to 5 page website that they're going to be able to utilize. We're going to pay for the creation of it in the first year of it being developed, and they'll have to take on the responsibility after that. But it really gives them a head start in the digital world. And
so powerful.
Yeah, it's exciting because some of these entrepreneurs, otherwise, they probably would not do it themselves because of the unfortunate challenges some of them have with cash flow or things they're dealing with. But we're able to step in and offer that kinds of support. And so USDA is investing money, and it's going to good use.
At the end of the day, though, we're still doing business in one of the poorest regions in the country. Does the viability exist for somebody to have a business that's economically sustainable in such a poor region?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we're making the investments now in the technical assistance, the mentoring, the coaching, to make sure that these small business owners are making the right decisions. And then we're also investing in the ecosystem for the future entrepreneurs, those who, next thing you know, are creating the next Microsoft, or they're creating the next gadget that's going to go to scale and it's going to be all over the world. The reality of it is that there are a lot of opportunities, and it's about not being afraid to take risk. And quite frankly, we've got to learn how to reward that. We shouldn't be in a mindset to punish risk takers. Entrepreneurs are about taking risks, and you know what? Some of them are going to fail. But we need to make sure that we pick them back up and we give them a pathway to be successful. Look at some of the wonderful things that's happening here now. Look at what's happening with Yazoo Pass, for example, right here in Clarksdale. That's a wonderful business that has created some unique things about Clarksdale because it's capturing what's happening with cultural tourism and with the heritage tourism. And what we know, particularly in that space, and Abe can speak to this because his business has to do with this as well, is that we know that the attractiveness of this area, the Delta region, to international travelers is significant. We know they come over and they spend longer than U.S. travelers. Sometimes they'll spend 2 to 4 weeks. They will spend thousands of dollars in the course of that, and they want to be here. They want to come to see where the blues was. They want to come to the crossroads. They want to see ground zero. This is an enormous economic development opportunity. And tourism, yes, I said it, tourism is an economic development strategy. It should be a part of a local community strategy, particularly here in the Delta region, just like we're talking about small business and entrepreneurship and traditional economic development with industrial recruitment. But let's don't forget the number one rule in economic development. Let's make sure we're paying attention to the ones we already have. So we need to be supporting the ABES. We need to be supporting existing businesses and small businesses in our community and making sure we're doing everything we can to support that. That's how you get them to survive in this kind of climate. Look, the economy is turning around. We're seeing enormous economic growth. We had the lowest unemployment rate that we've had in years. We know the stock market is doing better. Every major indicator on the economy is on the uptick. The economy is rebounding. Things are happening, and we just have to continue to prime the pump. This is not the time to retreat. This is not the time not to be focusing in on workforce training and education to make sure that you have a world-class education system so you can compete around the world. This is not the time to pull back resources on technical assistance for small businesses. This is not the time to continue to make investments in broadband and infrastructure so you can be competitive. Even in areas like the Delta region, we are great. We have great businesses, a great workforce, and we can compete with anybody around the world.
Do we have the educational tools in our school systems to do that? Because we seem to have a gap between public education and higher education. We have really great universities and junior colleges and some of the poorest performing public schools in the country. How do we get those public school students trained up so that they're ready to be part of the 21st century workforce?
I truly believe that through entrepreneurship, it's one of the ways to get some momentum going from an educational perspective. Well, Abe, what do you mean by that? Your small business owners who probably have kids or cousins or somebody who is going to some of those public schools that you're talking about, they're much more prone to contributing and giving on a consistent and long-term basis than a business where you have people who are coming in and investing in the community. I would much rather bet on myself than, excuse my French, than people who are from outside of a community. I believe those folks who are vested in a community or who have a stake, they would take a lot more pride in the educational system. And so going back to your original question, what can be done, I think a lot of it is us as a community taking pride in our educational system. We all know about the fights that are going on across the country in legislatures as it relates to education dollars. But what is it that we can do as community stakeholders, I think is the question that we should be asking first. Just a little while ago, I was talking to some kids from Natchez, Mississippi, and I candidly told them, look, it's up to you to change the Delta region, the place where you live, where you're from. You have to have a intense commitment to making sure that you're educated, making sure your brothers and sisters are educated, challenging the people who are educating you. So I think if as a community we begin to take pride in what's going on from an educational perspective, I think that will begin to put us going in the right direction. A lot of it is there's some things that we can do ourselves. I don't think we can wait. I don't think we can wait until we get adequate funding or all things are perfect. I think we have to take pride in the fact that we are from a different area. We know we have some challenges. Let's look those things squarely in the face and figure out as a community what we can do. And so what that means is we're going to have to sit down and have some honest, candid conversation.
We've been speaking with Abe Hudson, who is the director of the DETS program at Delta State University, and Chris Masingill, the co-chairman of the Delta Regional Authority. I want to thank you, both of you, for being here today. And before we wrap up, I just want to kind of come back and make sure we've covered all the bases. The Delta Regional Authority and the DETS program at Delta State really have similar goals, and that is to identify entrepreneurs, encourage them to start their business or improve their existing business, and keep doing what they're doing with an eye toward being bigger and better and basing it all right here in the Mississippi Delta. Did I kind of capsulize everything?
Amen.
Hallelujah.
And if people want to contact you, we've given the phone numbers and all that, but I'll ask you to repeat your phone number one more time, Abe.
Not a problem. It is 662-588-0091, and that's to Delta State University's DETS program.
And Chris, the Delta Regional Office is in the federal building above the post office downtown on 3rd Street in Clarksdale, and that's open, I would assume, business hours most days.
That's right. 4th floor, and then you can always reach us through the website, DRA.gov, and then, of course, our phone number is 662-624-8600. And please call us. We want to help.
A ton of resources available to small businesses and entrepreneurs to help make you successful. Gentlemen, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Paul.
I'm Paul Wilson. This has been Community Matters on WROX, your Community Matters. 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 On WROX, your Community Matters.